Hey, welcome to the Jamie and Chris show, I think it is, or Chris and Jamie show. Don't be an idiot. We're your two idiots. So what's new today?
Well, I was kind of interested I just wanted to talk about your new plane again.
Oh,
So,
sure.
when we last spoke, you said, well, I got to get 10 hours of flying time or
Yeah, actually, it's
something
more
that.
like 15 hours, and now it's turned into a lot of book work.
Yeah, you said something.
Yeah.
Now you said
Like,
something
just
like
watching a lot
37
of
hours or
like
something?
watching a lot of videos, which I can kind of agree with, because all planes react differently to, and this one has a tendency for, like, whenever there's a major issue, pull the parachute. I mean, pretty much is what they're telling you in the videos. It's like you go into a spin, pull the parachute.
Wow,
there's
just
no
jump ship,
spin,
huh?
there's no spin recovery, right? And there's been some deaths, and I know why they're doing it now, because it's better to just do it and bite the bullet. And
So this is kind of interesting because, a lot of us who are not pilots, look at it and say, well, you get a new car, you don't need, a new license to
yeah, right.
fly a car. You've been a pilot for, what, 30 plus years?
Yeah, I was 23, I think I got my private.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so you've had your
I'm
license for a long
56
time.
now. I know I don't look at
Yeah.
early 20s. I
Okay,
know.
over
I get
30,
it. Thanks
right?
for the
Yeah.
compliments. Yeah.
But so you've flown a lot of different planes in your life.
Sure.
But here's a new one.
Yep.
And because it's new technology, because it's just...
Well, just a little bit. How the plane flies is differently, different than other planes. All planes have, it's funny. One of the videos says, he's like, whatever you learned in the other, flying, whatever else you did, keep those on those planes. This is a
Really?
totally different plane. Yeah.
So if you're an instructor, you got to know a lot of different planes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, one instructor I use a lot of, he does my testing out on stuff. He flies everything from a $60 million global, which was really funny because I tried to add him to my insurance, and this is its own little like caveat, right? So all insurance is like, oh, nope, you can't do that. And I was going to put him as like another person who
Added
can fly,
insured or whatever you call it.
fly the airplane, right? Yeah. And it's called a named pilot, right? So we name him as he can take the plane whenever we want. And then there's what's called an unnamed pilot, which I never knew there was so much craziness with insurance, but obviously there is because they try to get out of everything. And the one was named pilot, even though he had 600 hours in this particular plane type. They were like, oh, nope, he's got to get tested out by an instructor for that plane, and he's got to, jump through all these hoops, take these tests and whatever. And then I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. He's already got 600 hours. Why does he need more? And I was going to have him train me on this plane, which now I have to go with their instructor.
And this is just the insurance company. This isn't the FAA or...
No, this is the insurance company. So to cover him, he had to jump through these hoops, or we could leave him as an unnamed pilot where all he needs is 30 hours.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Weird, right?
what's the sense in that? He's already got 600,
Yeah.
and he's got to go with an instructor that is under this for or under that typical
So
plane.
if he's a no-name, he's covered. If he's named, he's not covered.
Well, if he's named, he just has to jump all through these hoops. If he's not named, he can just jump in the airplane because he's got over 30 hours. And he's current, on his IFR or whatever, instrument rating.
Right.
Yeah. But I just find it like, and I kept saying to the insurance, I'm like, this makes no sense because you're just telling me I can pull a Joe Blow off the street and
Right.
they can fly the airplane with 30 hours or, as long as they've been, gone through whatever it is, the annual or whatever on it. Or you can name him and you're going to, and by the way, they were going to charge me more to name him, right? They charged me $300 more,
Wow.
where it's already $8,000 on the airplane.
Per year.
Yeah, per year. Yep. And it's like, but this guy's got plenty of time. He flies for his career. He flies a $60 million airplane. And they're worried about
I
this.
think you can handle it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got this thing mastered by now. And the guy knows how to fly almost everything, right? He flies tail wheels. He's even got his endorsement for water planes. He's got, whatever this guy's so accomplished. I'd love to get to what he's accomplished, right? But yeah, that's just the goofy thing. So I'm now in the training process, right? And I couldn't schedule with an instructor because they're pretty in high demand until like I think the 3rd and the 5th of January, February, March. So the 3rd and the 5th I start flying training in this.
Okay. I thought you were going to fly up to Minnesota.
I did. I flew up with the representative for the aircraft company, who was showing me what it's called the G7.
Must be a pilot. Certified to fly.
Oh yeah. Well, he's not a flight instructor. He's just he's their sales guy. So what he tries to sell you a new airplane, but you know, the good thing about this company is they train you no matter what. You know, they'll give you 3 days of training on them because they want to make sure that the accident rate is very low on their airplanes.
Okay.
So the nice thing is they're covering 3 days. So that gets me through my VFR, which visual flight rules. And then I got to take another 2 days at my cost to get me through my IFR, which I'm an IFR pilot. But
that's an
per their
rating
airplane
that you
instrument,
can fly
yeah,
at night and on the fog and stuff. Like
correct. I mean, you can fly at night under a VFR too, but it's just safer. But yeah, so I'm kind of going through that rigmarole, which has really consumed a lot of my last week and a half. Sorry, I'm a little late on releasing the last episode, but should be out today. Yeah.
So Minnesota, how was it up in Minnesota?
Well, you know,
Was it a shit show?
Yeah. I think Minnesota typically seems to be a shit show. I mean, they're politicians.
You know,
thank God we didn't get Waltz as our president. You know,
right.
I mean, because that moron. Well, you know, it's funny. You know, it's like it just seems like this thing snowballed in Minnesota, right? And I would say it's politics picking on politics, but it's like, no, I'm sorry, it's just not at this point.
Right.
I'm like, we've proven that you guys are just mishandling funds and ripping off taxpayers. And then, you know, it's like, it's amazing that there is not a guy that actually like analyzes this stuff for them.
Well, there is.
No. Who?
So this is interesting. You know, kind of you talk about snowball. I kind of think about, you know, now that the crazy like anti-ICE stuff is done, you know, it's a matter of peeling the layers of the onion. And so I saw a post the other day.
Although I did see they were marching in front of Trump Tower, and I'm pretty sure Trump Tower is pretty insulting.
In New York?
Yeah.
Okay. So ever since he ran for office, there have been idiots out there protesting.
Yeah.
So a fiscal policy analyst for the Minnesota Department of Human Services last year was busted keying at least 6 Teslas. He even had some failed attempts at doing swastikas, but
because he didn't know what that looked like.
Maybe that, or maybe it was just too many lines. He had to like be fast with his damage and everything. But he got busted for keying at least 6 of them. And this is the guy who's supposed to be overseeing these programs and checking the compliance on all these grants and stuff. Okay. So instead of going out to check the parking lots of these daycare centers, he's running around trying to find Teslas the key.
Right. You know what cracks me up about this? And I know this is getting a little off subject, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't it Democrats who wanted us to drive electric cars? Right. And now you're a Nazi for driving electric cars.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like
I'm just not following the logic, and I have a hard time following logic of these guys.
Some of these radicals just tell what they're told,
right?
Do and think what they're
told,
zombies.
You
know, it's so. Anyways, this guy caused over $20,000 of damage, and so he was arrested by Minneapolis police, but the county attorney, Hennepin County attorney, declined to pursue criminal charges, which could have been felonies. Right. Because probably if you're over 2,000.
Anybody else, it's going to be a felony.
It's probably a felony or whatever. Yeah. Maybe 2,500. But so instead, Adams is the employee for the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, Brian Adams.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
his middle name is Brian. Yeah.
And Dillion Brian Adams. What a scumbag.
So he entered a pre-charge diversion program. So it's like if you do these things to make up for the bad deeds you've done, you won't get charged.
That's so nice.
So he gets to keep his record clean and everything.
Oh.
And so obviously a lot of people say this is way too lenient. And then people start finding out that there was a 19-year-old girl who was also busted keying a Tesla, but that same office charged her with a felony for property damage.
$7,000
for keying one car, while the guy who was with the with the people of the Stadies, he gets this like pre-charge diversion program.
Right.
So it's more and more
such
corrupt.
a double standard.
I mean, this is one of the guys. When you look at the mayor of Minneapolis and you look at Waltz and this guy, these are all the guys that the Department of Justice should be going after, because these guys let billions of dollars flow out to like illegal causes.
Right.
Obviously, then it's like,
unchecked.
I was going to
unchecked,
and I would say, well, just cut them off. You guys have plenty of our money already in the state of Minnesota.
Here's the
But
guy
they
who's
said that
supposed to be checking this shit, right?
And this is the guy. He's pissed off that Musk is starting to crack down on all the abuses, and look at what he does.
Right.
These are the people that they're hiring. This should make anyone angry.
Yeah.
So,
Democrat or Republican, this is BS.
this is abuse to no end.
Yeah,
So,
and I've not yet figured out why not more is being done to, basically destroy these guys, get them out of office.
right, because as far as I can tell, I checked a few sources online. I don't know. As far as I can tell, the guy still works for the
Still
state of
works
Minnesota.
for
He's
it.
still on the payroll.
And I'm sure he's
And,
still not doing his job.
His attorney states that he's remorseful and working to repay victims financially.
Oh, that's so nice.
So if it's one car and you're busted, maybe you're remorseful. 2 cars, maybe even that. 6+ cars. This guy's not remorseful.
No.
Obviously, his attorney gets paid to talk like that. So,
Yeah, right. Right.
Anyways, that's kind of the outrage of the week, and more crap out of Minnesota from the same old corrupt politicians.
Yeah, well, and it's like, hey, Dillion Adams, do your freaking job.
right?
Yeah,
he doesn't. Obviously, he's not.
Of
very
course, he's
interested in
corrupt
winning.
too. The corrupt leading the corrupt.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome.
So anyways,
just
south of Minnesota is
Yeah.
the great state of Iowa.
Iowa,
And,
yes. Which
and I had
I've
not been there for
really
a long time.
been to Iowa. I think one time when I was doing I was transferring product from one place to the other. I think I drove to Iowa from Indiana once, but it was at night and. Yeah,
So
it,
you didn't
was,
see
it wasn't drugs. It was cargo that needed to get to places overnight, and I was doing that to make ends meet. So
I went to Iowa this weekend. I hadn't been there in a very long time.
sure,
My kid's thinking about going to school there, transferring from the school.
yeah, I
that
think it's a
he's
pretty
at,
decent school.
because the university
Big
that
Ten.
he's at right now set him up. He's got 5 classes this semester, and 3 of them are online. It's like, what the hell are we paying tuition for, right?
Right.
And it's the same school I went to, and when I was a student there, a lot of the buildings were open 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
Like now, it's like almost everything shuts down. It's like,
Lockdown.
even like the campus bar, it closes at 8:00, and it used to be open till 2 a.m. It's like
They have a campus bar on that
yeah,
campus?
They do.
Wow.
And so
I do
it's more of a restaurant.
Do an
now,
entrepreneur thing every year where for a class there for the entrepreneur,
but- right.
and it's a lot of fun to do. But I didn't realize the campus was shut down after a certain time. I've always been there when it's been open.
So my kid, he lives in the dorms, and this will be his last year in the dorms, whether or not he stays there or not. But there's one restaurant that serves crappy food in the dorms until about 7 or 8 p.m. Then another one opens that's good, and all the kids wait for the good one to open up. But then you have to wait an hour and a half to get your food. I mean, it's just it's just so mismanaged.
Right.
It's just
Right.
It's out of control. So, anyways, he's got buddies who decided to go to school in Iowa at the University of Iowa, and so we went down there, Iowa City, and I went down there expecting, this is going to be a whole town that's just going to be run by the university. But I don't know what the population is, but it's not like 7,000 people. It's definitely a lot more than that. They have they have a lot of shopping, a lot of restaurants and everything, and so, but a very beautiful campus. And actually, the buildings are spectacular. It's a very clean campus, and this is probably part because it's not part of like a bigger urban area and stuff. It's just kind of, a lot of the university.
7,600.
76, all the population of
population. That doesn't seem very big.
The university is like just
76,000. I'm sorry, 76,000.
Okay. Because the university is about just under 33,000, I think. And so,
all right, so you think there's 100,000 altogether around that area.
So it's not tiny, but it's not like a big metropolis. But
yeah,
very nice campus, very clean, beautiful buildings. They have like 3 or 4 museums, like free museums.
On campus?
That you can go to, yeah.
Oh, really?
This is my kid. When I was a student, I'd show up at another campus. I'd be like, hey, let's go get some beer.
At the museum.
he meets up with his friends. He starts shooting me pictures from a natural history museum. So,
this is what man used to look like.
He's a much better person than I ever was.
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard of your stories. They are pretty interesting.
So anyways, when we go out to eat, I offer to take his friends out for dinner. So
sure.
Kind of,
for escargot and what kind of dinner?
They picked a popular national chain, and we got there. It was actually Valentine's Day, and so they were like, "Well, unless you have a reservation, you're gonna have to wait like 4 hours." Or whatever, and so
what chain was this?
Texas Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah, you like Texas Roadhouse. Actually,
my kid likes it. Yeah. So I think it's good too.
But, I ate there a couple days ago. Right? I like Texas Roadhouse.
I met you there once. I grabbed the last parking spot at that location. It was so busy. So, anyways, so we're like, well, we're not going to do that. And we found another restaurant, more of a fast food place.
Sure.
Across the street, and we went there, and then. I'm just hanging out, talking to the kids, trying to find out, their experiences on campus and stuff. And then, we pull up the receipt to like go get the food. And one of the kids says, yeah, make sure not to touch that very much because that'll give you estrogen. I'm like, estrogen?
I was wondering what was happening to me.
Right, yeah, right? So,
I've been putting on lipstick every once in a while, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Fellas, do you have an issue with man boobs? Maybe you're touching too many receipts.
Yeah. So I usually rub them all over my body.
I was like, what are you talking about? And so
I've never heard of this.
So anyways, so I went back to the hotel room and I'm like, I got to look into this. And so I asked the AI, I said, can thermal receipts give you estrogen? Short answer is no, they don't contain or give actual estrogen like some claims do.
Like the hormone. However, in birth control.
Right.
Thank God my birth control is going to be fine.
Many thermal receipts, these are the shiny type of receipt.
Yep, the ones that are hard to write on. You ever notice that? You're like, you're like, God dang, this pin doesn't work.
I'd give you a tip if I could paper.
I'm just put NA on all of them. Not available.
So, anyways, a lot of these receipts use chemicals like bisphenol A or its replacement bisphenol S as color developers. These are endocrine disruptors that can mimic estrogen by binding to estrogen receptors, potentially interfering with hormone balance. So, I think even, I can't say for sure, but there must be. Like men and women both have like these estrogen receptors as well as testosterone.
I think there's a certain amount.
It's a little bit. We just have a lot more testosterone as guys, right? So
the receipts could give you testosterone because the guys are usually paying the bill anyways, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying. Okay, not anymore. Okay, equal rights. I get it, right?
So here's some quick facts. Skin absorption happens quickly. Touching a receipt for about 10 seconds can transfer measurable amounts of this BPA.
Okay.
It's worse with moist hands. Lotion obviously probably attaches to that. It can spend more time seeping into your blood.
Sure.
Recent studies from 2024 and 2025 show most U.S. receipts still contain BPS, often about 80%.
Wow.
But it is declining because the word is getting out on this.
Right.
Animal studies link them to reproductive issues, fertility problems, metabolic disorders, and hormone-sensitive conditions. Human evidence shows higher levels in frequent handlers like cashiers, but casual exposure is low risk for most people and not a major source compared to food or plastic packaging. So the risk level is tiny for occasional contact. Cumulative low-level exposure from multiple sources is a broader concern. So
Okay.
higher relative risk for pregnant people, children, or heavy handlers. So anyways, isn't that interesting?
That is crazy. Who'd have ever thought, receipts giving you estrogen?
Right. So stay off of that because you may start buying.
I had heard of
cheap stuff.
chickens being injected with hormones was
Right.
giving people estrogen and things
Oh,
like
really?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is just on a new level, right? I'm gonna make my wife sign all the receipts
Hey, you
from
sign.
here
You're
on
the
out.
girl. You can
Yeah,
use this
I'm
stuff,
like, there you go, baby.
It's like.
Yeah.
Hey, I did the favor of giving some advice how to minimize exposure. Choose digital or email receipts when possible.
Yeah. But how do you
Decline
sign
paper
those? Well, I
receipts.
guess you sign the screen, but
Right. Yeah. Now a lot of it's so digital, right?
right.
And then they say, do you want it emailed or printed or whatever? So decline the paper receipt. Wash hands after handling receipts. And
Done.
So some regions have stricter BPA limits, and so they actually ban them. So anyways, if you start feeling like a little heavy up there,
Well, I already feel heavy
may
up
wanna
there,
stop touching receipts.
I'm going to stop touching receipts today. I'll stop signing them too.
Right, exactly. So anyways, that was just kind of interesting. So another interesting thing I saw,
Yeah.
this was a few weeks ago, I came across this LA Weekly list of 10 biggest classic rock douchebags.
Let me just step in and say, this is not our list.
This is LA Weekly.
This is LA Weekly,
from
right?
2019 or something.
Okay, so 2019, they're discussing this.
So it's interesting because there are a lot of people, I talk with people and they say, oh, you know what, I will not listen to this person because they're such a jerk or whatever.
Well, douchebag in this
people
case.
Roger Waters ticks off a lot of people. And
He sure does. I heard
Bruce
about one of his.
Springsteen does. And,
Yep.
some of these guys, they just go up on stage and just tick off their people and say, I heard that Roger Waters, I know a friend who went to go see him, and he's like, yeah, he paused at one point in the show, and he said, if you don't like what I normally say, you may want to go out and use the restroom or something because I'm going to talk for a while. I mean, he actually does that, I know that some
I would have walked out.
right? Some places, I think I remember, he had a tour going on. I think Poland told him that he's not welcome to come to the country because.
Well,
they
what
didn't
gets
wanna
me
hear him
is these guys and their political beliefs, handing it out on their silver platter, right? Nobody gives a shit. Sing. And by the way, what makes you qualified
right,
to have any good data?
right.
Because
Because and the funny thing is, I always say to people, it's been my experience that a lot of songwriters usually, especially when you think about people talk about the country songwriters and stuff. Well, you're writing about all these problems and everything, but you see that everywhere in all this
Right.
music. It's like if there wasn't bad behavior, there wouldn't be enough topics for a lot of songs. Because
Sure.
not everyone's gonna I know you don't like Rush. We've talked about it before. But not everyone's going to be this techno, futurist type of songwriter. A lot of it's my baby left me after I beat her up or whatever it may be. So, right? It's so a lot of these people.
There's a tear in my beer.
Exactly. So, okay, I'll get on to the list. So,
All right.
number 10, they said, was Jerry Garcia.
Jerry.
They said
Jerry, I thought he'd be because he smoked so much dope, he'd be all right, right?
They said drug-addled brand of candy-ass jamming wreaked havoc
I've never been
rock
much
and
of
roll.
I'm
So-
sorry. I'll have an opinion on all these, but I've never been much of a Jerry Garcia fan. I never thought the Dead was that great.
It's
You know?
amazing how, like,
But they
Fish and
had
the Dead,
one
they, like,
big ass following.
They do, and it's like it is kind of, it's just kind of this free form jam, and these guys just kind of
Is the following
roll
for the
with the
music,
rhythm
or
or
is the
something.
following for the drugs? You know?
I think it's the environment, the culture.
Yeah, I think it's the culture. I don't necessarily think it's like the good music.
because I don't think these people are just sitting around listening to it all day long.
No.
But they'll go around and like follow them around for like 50 shows or something.
Right,
Just for
right.
the experience, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
So-
I've known plenty of people to follow the Dead, you know,
Right?
and never had much use for any of them.
Yeah. Right. They probably weren't very productive.
They were. I know one right now that I'm like, the day I met this person, I'm like, she's an idiot.
So the next one is another kind of granola head guy, which is Bob Dylan.
Bob
They
Dylan.
call him a serial plagiarist.
Oh, really? Really?
Google that. The citations are endless. And,
Really?
yeah. So.
So he's not
Dylan's-
much of a creative guy. He's just
Right.
more of a
Because
plagiarist.
that's what everyone's like. Would always say, "Oh, he's so creative." But
So he's like Joe Biden.
Because you just right, serial plagiarist. But yeah, because a lot of people would be like, "Oh, he can just write and write and write." But okay, so I don't know. He's from Minnesota, which is a negative. I
Oh
guess.
my God, Minnesota! What is up with you guys?
But I don't know. He I was never a big fan, but there are a few songs I liked.
Yeah, I'm not a
But-
big fan of Bob Dylan's. Yeah.
I like Guns N' Roses' "Knocking on Heaven's Door" version. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So-
Is that his tune?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
maybe he was a good writer, but
well,
a
he did the
plagiarist
song,
writer.
Actually,
Huh?
he did the song. I think he did it before Guns N' Roses. Actually, I'm not sure if he actually wrote it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know
But
enough
then there
about
was
Bob.
The famous Hendrix "All Along the Watchtower." Dylan, that was taken from Dylan, I think.
Oh,
So-
really?
Mhm.
Interesting.
So, anyways, the next one, actually, a guy who I feel bad for is John Fogerty, because
Okay.
he is like the poster child of someone who gets screwed over in the music business, because they were just put through hell. Consumed by an obsessive victim mentality. So, okay, maybe this is part of it.
I was ready to
But
say
this is
he's a
kind of
victim. Or do
he-
you think it's developed into this victimhood?
Early on, they basically sold their soul basically to like be with a manager, record producer, or whatever.
Okay.
And like
So a label.
he had to fight for decades to be able to make a nickel off of all that popular stuff. Like this guy had these guys so badly that they were, it was all their music, but some other guy owned it all because
Yeah.
they signed it all away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, and a lot of like starry-eyed musicians will trust it. Like I think was it New Kids on the Block or someone? There was
Yeah.
like some other. Some
There
boys
was,
band that
yeah, there
just
was
so-
and the guy who ran their, was their agent or
manager or
whatever.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I actually think that's why Britney Spears doesn't sing anymore,
Oh, really?
because somebody else owns that right
She
to her
signed up.
stuff. So she's like, well, you know what? I'm not going to make them any more money.
These people
And
get
I think
duped by
that's,
these people, yeah.
and I think, and I think and she's been a victim, and this guy obviously, he should have, it's funny that
Right.
we're talking about this.
'Cause they're probably like 18,
Do you know the guy
20
from
years old.
Dawson's Creek?
The guy who just passed away?
Yeah, the guy that just passed away.
Okay.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, he didn't make any real money off of Dawson's Creek, even
Right.
how popular that was, because he was so young. He negotiated the contract so badly,
Right.
that it was like
They
he
just
was
prey on
lucky
these
to make a
people.
dollar, right?
Right.
And now it's like his family almost went into bankruptcy because of his illness.
Uh-huh.
And it's pretty sad that that's
Right.
how it comes out,
And so that's a word of caution. Because
Right.
if you're a musician, you got to make sure who you're dealing with. because
Right, and you got to cover
don't
your
sign
ass.
don't sign off your rights. And so John Fogerty and CCR, they had a major problem like that. So I don't know. Maybe this article is a little insensitive to the torture that he went through. He even got the same asshole even sued Fogerty when he went out on his own and became a solo artist because he sounded too much like CCR.
Oh my God!
I
Did he
know.
win?
I think Fogerty won in the end.
Oh,
But that's the kind of mentality. It's like, he's like, he just wants to control his whole life. So, Fogerty allowed a standard music ripoff deal orchestrated by Fantasy Records, Saul Zentz, to transform his life, music, and personality. So, anyways, and I think one of the funny things about them is that when you hear CCR, I don't know, when I hear CCR, I hear like New Orleans, Louisiana kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think they were from San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, so anyways, next
there's a
one.
the funny thing is, now I'm thinking about it. There's a guy in the British Virgin Islands that plays at a little bar, and he was actually the guitarist for Bob Dylan.
Oh, he was.
And he actually says he still owes Bob Dylan still owes him money.
Really?
Yeah, which is like.
Yeah.
You'll go down there. We're going down in a month or so, and you can go down there and talk to him. And
Right.
as long as I can pull into that bay, because that bay seems to be a little wavy.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you think that Dylan should be able to
pay his bills.
come up with the
Yeah,
cash, right?
but he also kind of alluded to that Bob Dylan was a dick.
He was. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lou Reed. So a lot of these guys are, definitely older, like from the 60s and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Chronic, they say a chronic dullard whose turgid output steadily degenerated over 6 interminable decades. Reed, like his stale
Lou
monotone
Reed is
vocals,
as boring as it
was
gets.
so relentlessly and unengaging, depressive that the approximately 20 minutes of influential rock that he participated in wholly invalidates itself. So, yeah.
So they're basically saying he had 20 minutes influential
Right.
rock, and then really was propped up for the rest of his career.
Take a walk on the wild side.
Yeah, that's the only one I can remember off the.
He had a band called Velvet Underground.
I
which
do
was
remember
like,
Velvet Underground.
They were like popular to a certain segment of society. I have a friend who liked them a lot. It's songs about waiting for your drug dealer and stuff.
God, I can't wait. That's what I always wait for, my drug dealer.
Here's one that I can understand. David Crosby.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, David Crosby, he had quite a history. David Crosby's appalling legacy of fake folk rock epitomizes the worst of hippie era dreck, where the jangle-happy birds were merely affected and annoying. His subsequent work with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or as Rolling Rock Records president Ronnie Weiser called them,
Crosby shit and trash.
reached the patchouli fumed heights of influence. So indulgence. I mean, I like their harmonies, but the thing is, David Crosby, I mean, this is a guy, like, I think he, they started getting big, and then I think he started doing a lot of drugs. Then I think it got so bad from him that he, pissed away all his money, and he, stole someone's Mercedes or something. I'm not sure what it is. He ended up going to jail, like Crosby.
Oh, really?
David Crosby, when he was, well-known musician and stuff, and so.
Well, there's been a couple guys that did that. The Juice,
Right. So and then I remember when Eddie Van Halen passed away, it's like one of those things. Like when someone passes away, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Van Halen, there's nothing. Those guys, I'm sure those guys probably never crossed paths or anything. I like Eddie Van Halen. But he writes on Eddie Van Halen passed away today. Meh, MEH. Like big shit. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, why do you have to do something like that, right? I mean, it's
right.
like, just if you don't like Eddie Van Halen, just don't say anything, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I think is funny too with Crosby, Stills, and Nash
and trash.
Yeah, Crosby, shit, and trash. But as well as Simon and Garfunkel, these are like the iconic hippies. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, and Simon and Garfunkel. These are these peaceniks, all about love and harmony or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But it seemed like they all hate each other.
Yeah.
Like none of them will
so much love there,
each
isn't
other,
there?
right?
Yeah.
It's like, I just kind of thought it's like these guys don't talk to each other anymore. It's like, So, anyways,
Yeah.
number 5 on
It
the
was
list.
good while it lasted, Chris. You know that
Right?
was
Yeah.
what.
Bruce Springsteen, overheated and overinflated.
Oh
Springsteen's
yes.
ceaselessly droning spew of Jersey muck
Yeah.
reliability induces a state of complete torpor. A lifeless groaner who hypocritically spices up the most cliched meathead masculinity with a pathetic drizzle of wooden
He is a
damage.
complete freaking meathead.
I think he's
Springsteen,
right?
you suck.
He just keeps getting worse. You
You
know, it's
just suck.
he, it's funny because I don't know if it's like gotten worse. It seems like it's gotten worse over the last few years and it seems like it got worse after he sold his library to Sony Records, I think.
Oh.
So he sold all of it. Because then when he pisses everyone off and everyone else says, I'm not watching, I'm not buying his crap anymore. He's an asshole or whatever. He's also like he's so fake, just like this thing says. He's like, oh, Mr. Working Guy, but
Yeah, right.
he lives high on the hog. Obviously, his daughter's like this great equestrian and stuff, and so it's not like he's hanging.
That's for the poor,
Right.
downtrodden. What's the place in Jersey that's like the shithole?
You're not thinking. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank now.
Yeah, me too.
Not like Newark or the Camden.
Camden. Yeah,
Yeah.
because Camden is like super poverty stricken.
Right.
It's like I'm sure he did a lot for those New Jersey people, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not going down to the corner pub and having a PBR with the guys right after they get off
Right,
work
or he's on
anything,
Jersey
right?
Shore, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Schnooky and him getting together. Hey Schnook.
Snooki.
Is Springsteen married?
Yeah, I think he's
Oh.
been, I don't know really for sure, but I think so. So anyways, the next one is a surprising one. John Lennon. It's like, here we are 46 years after his assassination. So the most reverentially treated by revisionist history. Lennon admittedly beat any woman foolish enough to get close to him, and infamously subjected his son Julian to the vilest verbal abuse, but committed far greater cultural atrocities. How about that, man? That's nasty. There's it's funny. There's a Beatles song that I always thought was kind of like crazy that probably couldn't write it anymore today, and that's "It's Getting Better." It's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's a line in there that says, "I used to be something bad to my woman. I beat her and kept her away from the things she loved."
Admittedly beat women,
Yeah.
which like,
I think that
well,
was
that's
Paul
pretty,
McCartney singing it, but it, probably a Lennon McCartney, co-writing situation.
Hey, remember when Julian Lennon was like making a run? Like he actually was decent.
Right. I remember a couple of his songs.
Yeah.
So Phil Spector. I mean, this one is obvious. It says, but Philip's inclusion here has more to do with his rotten, overdone music than his aberrant, murderous nature. I know I've heard his stuff before.
I don't even know who this is, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, so his he like fled the country and stuff, and so Carlos Santana. This was kind of surprising, but Carlos Santana's kind of cool. It's
You always thought.
thanks to fabulous mid-60s hit makers like East LA's Premiers and Bay City, Michigan's, and the Mysterians, Chicano rock was established as a brilliant, swaggering brand of big beat. But luckily for the corporate gringo, along came Carlos Santana.
Corporate gringo.
Yeah, a guitarist of such cliched predictability and flat effect that he established a new low and stereotypical Latin-tinged rock. Man, that's pretty low.
That is pretty low.
But I don't know. I mean,
I always liked Carlos Santana.
Right. It's like,
But he's like, he's kind of like eggs in a cake, right? He's not the full cake. He's just the eggs.
right. That's very true. Journey was kind of in that genre too. Like when they first started, before they had Steve Perry, they were kind of in this Latin rock. And I think the guitarist was with Santana for a while too in that band.
Right.
So number one.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting.
This is a guy I never really listened to. I remember like a lot of people, a lot of potheads listening to him when I was a kid. Was Frank Zappa. Zappa was a self-appointed authority figure who did nothing but ceaselessly bitch, piss, and moan without ever offering a single solution or so much as an attempt at a constructive criticism. So this is LA Weekly's takedown of these people from a few years back.
Really?
So I don't know. I thought he was just a silly musician. I don't.
He's alive still, huh?
Yeah. It's
never much cared for his music, but
And until Elon Musk came around, he had the craziest named kids out there. Moon Unit.
What is it?
Moon Unit. You ever heard
Moon Unit? No, huh?
I think his daughter was in that song Valley Girl. You remember that? Song,
I do.
I think that was Moon Unit Zappa in there. So, anyways, so that's the list of what LA Weekly.
Oh, you know what? I actually think 52. When he passed away, December of Frank Zappa was 52 years old when he passed away in December of 1993.
Oh, wow. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's like, I can't believe he was 52. Okay, so that shows we don't know what we're talking about on this.
Right? But, I mean, Zappa's kind of before our time.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, but, it's like, I guess he's dead. Well, rest in peace, Frank.
I just remember one line that one of the kids in my neighborhood used to like sing all the time. It'd be like, "Watch out where the huskies go and don't eat the yellow snowers."
Oh man! Well, did you know Lady Gaga used to own his house?
Oh really?
Yeah.
I wonder if that was kind of a wacky thing, or if it was just
$6.40 or $6 million.
His house
after owning it, for about 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Bought the estate in 2016. I don't know. Yeah. Character. I don't know where that is. What are the allegations against Frank Zappa? Let's see what this is.
Right.
Group culture. Show more. Explicit content. Censorship. Yeah. That doesn't say anything about sexual explicit music.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was kind of like anything goes, obviously.
Yeah, right. Well,
he wasn't like FM rock as it was called.
He'd have been fun on Instagram.
Right. Right. He could have created a lot of memes.
Yeah, right. I mean, this guy would have been super popular, right?
Right.
What I find is funny is
I'm surprised that Roger Waters didn't make this list.
Yeah.
I think that they'd be like, he's running around ticking everyone off, and there are plenty of other musicians out there who could qualify the list. This is definitely maybe the person who
This
wrote
is funny.
list.
What did John Lennon think of Frank Zappa? Admiring his music talent and anti-establishment attitude, but also finding him overly intellectual. Overly. Well, that's not saying much out of Lennon. So, and I know I'm going to get a lot of blowback for the Lennon comments, but I am not a Beatles fan.
Yeah. Okay.
They're okay, but I guess, you know what? I probably suck at judging music. So, rip on me all you want. I don't care.
I like the way the Beatles evolved over the ages.
I could see that. I could agree with you there. It just wasn't my music,
Some bands, they get in this groove and they don't stray from it. But the Beatles kind of morphed into a bunch of different stuff over a period of about 10 years. I mean, really, when you look at from 1962 to 1969, 70, it really more like about 8 years. But
yeah.
Anyways.
Well, it's so funny, just the names of these songs, right? I look
Frank
at it.
Zappa songs.
Yeah, Frank Zappa songs. I said, what's the best Frank Zappa song? Watermelon and Easter Hay. Who doesn't think of that, right? I need some watermelon in my Easter hay, right?
I wonder if that was drug-induced.
Montana, I don't know. My guitar wants to kill your mama. Oh my God. And some shit I can't read. Cosmic debris. And peach in regala or something. I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. You guys are going to correct me. Whatever.
That's Frank Zappa.
How long was he in jail? 10 years.
He was in
10 years in jail. What did he spend 10 years
That must
for?
have been before he was recording.
Yeah. Zappa purchased a record studio, and after allegations of obstructing recording for undercover policemen, spent 10 years in jail. I don't know what the hell that's about.
Wow. That's interesting. I had no idea.
Also I got which Beatle was the biggest womanizer, right? George Harrison. If anybody wants to know. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Paul McCartney seemed to be locked down to women all the time. And,
yeah.
And same with John Lennon, right? I mean, it's like, so George Harrison got to play the field and take advantage of that situation.
Well, this is like musical lyrics, right? What were John Lennon's last words to Paul? Think about me every now and then, old friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, think about me now and then.
I will.
Old friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Very poetic, though,
right.
I have to say, you know?
Doesn't sound like the kind of guy who would beat a woman.
No.
So, anyways, you got anything else to talk about?
Man, I think I'm out of it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got to get back to studying.
I got to get my studying done, you know, and my taxes. Don't you guys forget tax day this year.
Right.
Make sure to get your taxes into the government because, you know, you won't get your money back. Right. Trust me.
But this year they're supposed to have record refunds, right? They keep talking about that.
Or is that wreckage of refunds?
I think they keep talking about like the average refund is going to be up about $2,000 this year. So
woo!
So we'll see what happens.
You guys like and subscribe. Listen to us on all the famous podcast areas, venues,
Spotify.
You know what? Comment, please. I need your help. Yeah, keep it positive. You know. I get it. You don't like us all the time.
Tell Jamie how you like his hair or something.
Yeah, like it's looking good today. Actually, it's not, but whatever. I'm here. Okay.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye.